The biggest thing going in to Auburn versus Baylor from the Auburn side of things is don't take yourself out of the game. No silly turnovers, no mishaps on special teams, and don't overthink it from the coaching perspective. I've said all offseason long, Brian, that from a roster standpoint, Auburn should be able to go into Waco and take down the Baylor Bears. My one concern, my largest concern, I guess there are a few smaller ones, but the largest one has been, can Hugh Freeze's scheme be digestible for the guys on offense and then be executed on a game day consistently? We saw moments of it, especially towards the end of last season, where it's like, oh, there you go. Texas A&M. I mean, they looked great there. And then, there have been certain moments where it's like, okay, cool, this is what it looks like, but it wasn't consistent for an entire 60 minutes. Can we do that? Can Auburn go out and do that with Jackson Arnold running the helm? Because the blame has been thrown to Peyton Thorne. And hey, that might be proven correct on Friday. It might be. And, Auburn fans need to hope that that's the case. But what does Auburn need to do? They need to not take themselves out of the football game.
This should be a rather conservative game plan offensively, because they should be able to run the ball, like I said, down their throat, because I think they're going to play very off coverage. And if Jackson Arnold can't win with 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4 most of the day, then as you noted in the first segment of this show, there's different questions to ask. And quite honestly, there's questions about when Deuces ended up being the starter. And I just don't think that's going to be the case. So they should be able to run RPO and have a lot of stuff underneath, tight ends, slant screens, because teams are going to play cloud coverage, man.
Right.
And then the stuff about the penalties and the dropping the ball and stuff, that's just on players executing.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, again, this is year 3. Your talent level has changed so much. I don't think that should be a big deal. This is for any team, not Auburn. My one big concern for any first game of the season, or even at the NFL level, it's the punt team. Like, the ball cannot go over the punter's head. The punter cannot drop like this. Those plays change the momentum of games beyond the scoreboard. Like, it's just,
sure.
It's show box teams. And Baylor's got their crowd. They got some nutty people. It'll be loud. They get backed up. Can't have the punter getting it blocked in the end.
45,000 entire people will be there.
Yeah, they'll be loud. They'll be drunk. They'll be having fun. But if you're going to be able to get out of the first half with the lead, you just don't turn it over. Your talent will eventually create the talent gap that we talk. And I'm not trying to pick on Baylor. They've got some good players. They do not have the depth that Auburn does.
They don't have the depth, and the defense is just not there. And I think their offense is good. I think their offense down the stretch against, the lower tier teams of the Big 12, they took advantage of them. They took advantage of them. And look, they scored 31 against, LSU. Like, they're not a bad offense. I do think the strength of Auburn's team, though, is their defense and those DBs. And I just don't think, physically, like, we've talked about that from receivers. Like, you can't simulate Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, and Malcolm Simmons in practice. You also can't manufacture in the practice field a Jay Crawford or a Kayan Lee or a Caleb Harris or a Keldrick Falk. Like, you can't, if you don't have those guys on your roster, you can't do that. And Baylor doesn't have those guys on their roster. And like you mentioned, those stats down the stretch, or last year for Baylor, but down the stretch when they kind of finished the season on a roll, they played at Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, TCU, West Virginia, Houston, and Kansas. Those teams weren't good. And they still allowed points. 35 to Tech, 28 to OK State, 34 to TCU, 35 to West Virginia, 10 to Houston, 17 to Kansas. Like, this is still a team that's like, they've allowed points to everyone. And so if Auburn can go in there and just win their individual battles, this game should be fine, Brian.
Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't. I'll say this, you never want to lose a turnover battle, but if Auburn loses the turnover battle 2-1 or 1-0, they'll still win. They have that much more talent. Usually you lose a turnover battle on the road against a team that, like, again, Sawyer Robertson's legit.
Yeah.
I would take him in this quarterback battle because he's experienced. I will still take Auburn because I think outside the numbers, DB receiver, overall, they're better. You could argue who the best receiver is in the game. I forget the kid's name for Baylor, but he's really good. Like, he'll probably play in the NFL. Their running back is really good. He'll probably play in the NFL. They still don't have the same depth. And then in the trenches, they do not have Keldrick Ball. They don't have anyone.
And like there is questions, and I don't know how much of this. I think there could be several different factors, but like leaving the most recent scrimmage, talking to a few folks, it sounds like Auburn's defensive line really just handled Auburn's offensive line. And the defensive side of it consistently won the one-on-one matchups. And Hugh Freeze talked about that the last time he was, spoke to the media. And so I do wonder how much of that is scheme, how much of that is Keldrick Falk and Kieron Crawford and Amaris Williams and, all of Malik Block and all of these guys that are just winning one-on-one battles. And it's like, well, you're not going to play many teams that have that up front. Baylor certainly doesn't have that up front. Like, how much of it is that, and how much of it is just like the O-line is lagging behind a little bit? Like, you can make an argument in several different directions if you wanted to.
I'm sure part of it is the defense. Like, again, I think Auburn's offensive line is pretty good, but do they have a player on Falk's level? Connor Lew's really good, but I would still take Falk, and they don't go against each other.
Yeah, they don't block. Yeah, right. He's not blocking him. Right.
So I would imagine the O-line's just getting good reps because they're playing against an SEC front. The bigger question, though, like, how does Baylor remotely try to emulate that in practice with Falk? He's 6'5", 6'6".
How many Keldrick Falks are there in college football, Brian?
2 to 4, maybe.
Yeah,
none of them play for Baylor.
They'll all be first half of the first round draft picks.
Right. Yeah. There's a couple at Clemson, a couple at Bama, Auburn, LSU, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State. The schools. I mean, it's straightforward. They're not a Baylor. So I need to see Baylor have somebody come up and surprise. Maybe they will. I mean, college football is wild. But unless they have a heroic performance out of somebody in their front seven or whatever, or they can just play conservative coverage, and I mean conservative, and they can still slow down Auburn's running game to the point they're averaging 3 yards a carry. Again, the only way Auburn loses this game is turning it over / shooting themselves in the foot, missing field goals, stuff like that. I doubt it. So